lot of times people just are who they are. And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning.
You can smell that this is for record. You can smell that this, if you want to go there, is for the setup. This is for the shakedown. Or you can say, oh no, she's just being explicit and she's just being open, and that's their relationship. But this is where I'm like, oh man.
You're just gonna like get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me, so I feel like...
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Shannon Sharpe is really out here wildin', and Ryan Clark is making sure everyone knows about it. Ryan went all the way in, calling out Shannon's creepy behavior with women that's been floating around for a long time now. Ryan didn't exactly come out and say Shannon is guilty of everything that's being thrown at him in this new lawsuit, but he definitely made it clear this kind of behavior, Shannon's been on that wave before. And whoo, Shannon is losing his mind over what Ryan had to say. But here's the real tea. Shannon can huff and puff all he wants, but behind closed doors, word is he's still out here begging Gabby to settle this privately and make the whole thing disappear. From the outside looking in, it's giving major, this is the beginning of the end vibes for Shannon right now. This mess is beyond messy, it's straight up chaotic. I mean, if somebody had told anyone last year that Shannon Sharpe would be caught up in serious allegations like this all through 2025, folks would have laughed and told them to stop tripping. But look at us now, it's happening, and baby, it's ugly. The thing is, while a lot of people are shook over this whole scandal, Ryan Clark isn't even a little bit surprised.
No man wants to be associated with those things that's not his intent and that's not his heart. And so my biggest thing for him is, if these aren't actions that are of him, I hope that he's cleared of them.
Right.
And then for the young lady, if these are things that has happened to her, you hope that she's able to process that and in some way feel like she has been not only compensated, but that she has sought and found the justice that she's looking for. But it's like you said, period. It's just a bad look. Whether it's the text messages, whether it's the voice messages, whatever it is.
If anything, Ryan pretty much said that Shannon getting sued like this is exactly what he expected. He even pointed out that Shannon has always been kinda off when it comes to women, and now everything's coming back around to bite him, big time. Ryan Clark didn't hold back when he brought up the leaked texts and audio clips tied to the lawsuit Shannon's caught up in right now. By now, most people have seen those texts floating all over the internet, and let's be real, they are beyond weird and straight up cringe. One of the leaked messages said, "I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me." I know you missed this. Big juicy behind $25,000 for each cheek. Only if you put that baby gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want. To me, I want to put my tongue in your hole and then marry you. That's my daddy. I want you to put a big black baby in me. And another one? You better crave it, because you're gonna be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me. Like, what even is that? If this was just some wild convo between two over-the-top teens, it would already be messy. But the fact that this is an older man talking to a 19-year-old, the secondhand embarrassment is next level. Seriously, $25,000 for a cheek? Talking about putting a baby in someone? Whew, it's a lot to take in. And here's where it gets even more insane. The person who actually leaked these texts wasn't Gabby or some random hacker. It was Shannon's own lawyer.
You're just gonna like get mad at and you're just gonna hang up on me, so I feel like...
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a dick to me now, so...
I don't want to be... Don't manipulate me.
Oh, no, have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the shit out of you when I see you.
I don't...
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Yup, Apparently, they thought it would be a power move to show that Gabby was the one asking Shannon to do all this stuff, but instead of making Shannon look innocent, it just made the whole thing look 10 times messier and way more uncomfortable. But honestly, all that leak did was make Shannon look like an aging dude who still thinks being wild and freaky is edgy, like he's way too into OnlyFans models and that kind of content. Not a good look at all. And don't even get me started on those recordings. 2 phone conversations have been circulating over the last few days, and trust me, they're even worse than the texts. In those clips, you can actually hear Shannon threatening the poor girl, and she sounds scared out of her mind the entire time. It's hard to listen to without cringing all the way through, but Ryan wasn't done yet. Nope, he kept the heat coming and straight up dragged Shannon for his whole history with women, especially the way he constantly talks about women on his shows. If you've watched Shannon regularly, you can't deny there's something real off about how he describes women, especially black women. He's always cracking these comments that might fly in a locker room full of hyped-up football players, getting a few laughs, but out here in the real world, it just makes him sound creepy and low-key misogynistic. Honestly, it paints a picture that makes it super easy for people to believe Shannon's the type of guy who'd be in a messy, toxic relationship.
I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah, I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay,
where he's mistreating his partner and not even hiding it well. For example, folks recently pulled up an old tweet from Shannon that's raising major eyebrows again. In the tweet, he snapped back at a commenter saying, "Why are you on my page? Don't you have another horse to rob of his hair? Stop trying to kill my vibe." The wild part? He was clapping back at someone who had called him out for being biased against black women athletes in the WNBA. That post was accusing Shannon of only hyping up Caitlin Clark, while turning a blind eye when black women in the league were getting disrespected. Looking back now, we should have known right then that Shannon was showing his true colors, if you catch my drift. But that's not even the full story. Things get way creepier when you dig deeper into Shannon's past. Turns out this isn't his first time facing serious accusations about putting his hands on women. Once people started digging, they uncovered a whole complaint from back when Shannon was a co-host on FS1's Undisputed. According to insiders, Shannon was accused of choking a female production assistant right there at work. One source spilled that Shannon and Fox settled with the woman for several $100,000. No lawsuit ever made it to court. Another source claimed Shannon's team worked real close with Fox's legal crew to keep it all on the low because they knew the backlash would be brutal if the public found out. But fast forward to today, once the new lawsuit blew up and gained traction, that old case came bubbling right back to the surface. Shannon's team had to respond, and their official statement? They said there was never any choking incident involving Shannon on the FS1 set. You be the judge.
A lot of times, people just are who they are. And you're looking at Shannon, his brand has never really been anything that said he might not be into some of the things that we're learning, right? You could go back to the IG Live, or you could listen to some of the things that he promotes as sponsors of his show, or just certain ways he talks about women during Nightcap or whatever it is, right? Like, okay, never hid that. And that's not illegal.
So here's what Shannon's team had to say. They admitted that there was one incident where he and a few co-workers got into what they described as some light physical interaction that was supposedly playful. Fox Sports ended up deciding to handle it all privately, away from the spotlight. But oh, trust me, it gets worse. Shannon's ex, Michelle, she also came forward and sued him in the past. And the details of her case are scarily similar to what Gabby is now accusing him of. Michelle's lawsuit dropped back in 2023, and in it, she said she had been dating Shannon for about 10 years before things turned ugly. According to Michelle, in September 2010, she found out Shannon was cheating on her and decided to confront him about it. But instead of taking accountability, Shannon allegedly snapped and turned violent with her. Michelle claimed that after their argument, Shannon would allegedly force her to perform intimate acts on him and then force her onto the bed, where she said he assaulted her. She even said Shannon told her chilling things like he was going to make sure no other man would ever want her again. Sound familiar? Because if you've read Gabby's lawsuit, it's almost identical. Gabby says the first time Shannon assaulted her was right after she tried to break things off with him in October of last year. That was right after he went live on Instagram while being with another woman. Gabby claimed Shannon also forced her to perform on him and said, "You've disrespected me so much. I'm gonna punish you. I'll make sure no man wants you again." She also accused him of then assaulting her in a brutal way. And while it was happening, he allegedly said, "Look at my arm. I've got chills. That's how good this is." Gabby says she was crying and sobbing uncontrollably the entire time. According to Michelle, things took a terrifying turn after the alleged attack. She said Shannon started threatening and stalking her, warning that he'd ruin her entire life if she ever spoke out about what he'd done. Michelle claimed he wouldn't stop calling her, reminding her over and over that he was keeping tabs on her every move. It got so bad, she says, that she feared for her safety and had to file for a restraining order against him, and later sued him for defamation after they split up. But Shannon, he didn't let it rest there. Michelle said he trolled her non-stop on his platform, making jokes at her expense and letting his fans tear into her online with insults and harassment. And after all this old drama resurfaced, Shannon's team came out swinging with a statement. They blasted Michelle, accusing her of jumping on the so-called Shannon hate train just to score some easy money. His team brushed off her lawsuit as nothing but old news, calling it fanciful exaggerations and blatant misrepresentation of facts.
We all know about the report of a $100 million deal for Shannon Sharpe and his king empire of Shay Media. Made a ton of sense. But now as I look back on it, that $100 million deal was reported. And did she know that that deal was happening? Or she didn't know? Because on Friday, it was reported, and on Sunday, she filed. Now, I could get a work week, Monday through Friday, but then you're gonna file on a Sunday? What happened between Friday and Sunday?
They doubled down, saying the accusations had zero merit and that Shannon had done absolutely nothing wrong, and promised he was ready to fight back hard against what they labeled malicious lies. But Michelle? She's not backing down one bit. Now she's speaking up, saying Shannon is running the exact same playbook on Gabby that he ran on her. Michelle pointed out that Shannon didn't have to mention Gabby's OnlyFans account, or even drag her name into that kind of conversation, but he did it anyway. According to Michelle, that was no accident. She says it was a calculated move to shift everyone's focus away from the actual lawsuit and instead put all the attention on Gabby's lifestyle. Michelle put it plainly, "I want people to understand exactly what Shannon did to this woman by doxing her, by putting out her name, by exposing her OF account." Michelle didn't hold back when she spoke on it. She said it was horrifying because now Gabby's going to face real consequences from Shannon putting her out there like that. Michelle added that even she's still dealing with the fallout to this very day, and everything she went through, as detailed in her complaint, all spiraled from the same kind of exposure. Meanwhile, Shannon's been pushing this narrative that it's all just a setup, a full-on cash grab, and that he didn't do anything wrong or illegal when it comes to Gabby. His lawyer jumped in with a fiery statement too, saying, "This lawsuit filed by Gabriela Zuniga and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortion, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed. Mr. Sharpe categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct especially the gross lie of SA, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. He stands firmly by the truth and is prepared to fight these false claims vigorously in court.
This extortion angle that Shannon and his lawyers have chosen could either be A, cover, let's inflate his worth before this hits, because we know it's going to hit negotiations that are broken down in settlement, or B, which is worse, probably, someone with knowledge of these negotiations and the settlement offers leaked it to the public to blow up Shannon Sharpe's potential deal. Someone knew that he was in line for $100 million and leaked it to blow up the negotiations in the settlement, the mediation, and to deflate his value. So now you're not gonna get $100 million because all this gonna hit the fan. Maybe one of the suitors did that or someone close to Shannon Sharpe. So I just wanted to set that up. That's just setting up the tone.
He looks forward to vindication through due process and a judgment based on the facts and the law. But here's where it gets real interesting. Turns out, behind the scenes, Shannon had actually been begging Gabby to settle for months. Word is, Shannon and Gabby had been locked in mediation talks long before she even filed her lawsuit. And get this, during those private discussions, Shannon reportedly offered her a whopping $10 million settlement. That's raising all kinds of eyebrows. Because let's be real, if you're 100% innocent, why are you throwing $10 million on the table just to make it all disappear? Now that the whole thing's public, people are definitely side-eyeing that move heavy. You don't just cough up that kind of cash if you've got nothing to hide. Or do you? I mean, if you know you're innocent, why even offer that kind of money, right? That's exactly what folks have been dragging Shannon for, saying coughing up $10 million was a terrible move because now Gabby knows exactly how far he's willing to go to keep this whole mess quiet. And honestly, that puts him in a really bad spot. But allegedly, once Shannon realized Gabby wasn't taking the bait and wasn't going to settle, he flipped the script real quick. That's when he kicked off full-blown damage control, trying to spin the whole situation to look like he's the victim of some big setup. And from what people are saying, his plan is working, because now everyone's buzzing about whether Shannon is being framed instead of focusing on the actual claims. Even Marcellus Wiley jumped into the conversation and dropped some interesting thoughts. According to Marcellus, it's very possible Shannon is being set up. He pointed out that the lawsuit was filed literally just 2 days after huge news broke that Shannon was about to cash in big time. For anyone who missed that news, Shannon was on the verge of signing a massive new $100 million deal after his contract with Colin Cowherd's The Volume podcast network came to an end. Shannon's numbers across all his shows and podcasts are crazy high, so naturally every major company was scrambling to get a piece of him. The timing of that lawsuit? Yeah, people are definitely raising eyebrows. Honestly, none of this is really surprising. I mean, just look at the numbers. His interview with Shannon Sharpe alone racked up nearly 90 million views. Before all this drama popped off, we barely heard a peep about the behind-the-scenes details of Shannon's business deals. But suddenly, out of nowhere, everyone's buzzing about how Shannon is about to land this massive payday. But here's where it gets juicy. Marcellus also threw out the idea that maybe Shannon, or someone on his team, leaked that $100 million deal on purpose. Why? To push this whole shakedown narrative hard. The theory is that Shannon made sure the news about his giant deal went public just in time, so that when Gabby filed her lawsuit, people would stop focusing on her actual accusations and instead get caught up in the idea that she was just trying to snag a piece of that $100 million bag. It's a bold strategy, no doubt. But despite all the spinning and damage control, word on the street is that Shannon is not handling the pressure well behind the scenes. All these allegations, they're taking a serious toll, and folks are saying Shannon's been struggling to keep it together while trying to hold on to his public image. Word is, ESPN has already hit pause on Shannon's appearances, and according to insiders, he might never get his spot back, even after all this blows over. On top of that, there are whispers that Disney is quietly distancing themselves too. Let's be real, they don't want any part of this mess dragging down their stock, and Shannon is starting to look like a full-on PR disaster for them, as if things weren't bad enough already. And get this, rumors are flying that Shannon has circled right back to Gabby and her team, trying to renegotiate some kind of out-of-court settlement. Yup, after all the denial, the damage control, and the smear campaign, now he's back at the table. He knows deep down that if he actually goes all the way through with this case, things could end way worse for him. But I'm curious, what do you think? Is Shannon totally in over his head now? Or do you think he's got a real shot at walking away from this without his entire reputation going up in flames? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share if you're into this kind of deep dive drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. There's always more tea to spill.